What is up, guys? It's CtrlAltDelicious, and so what I'm going to do for this video is let you guys watch the rest of the ending of Among the Sleep without me talking over it, and then after that I'm going to give my sort of explanation or understanding of the sort of message or what the ending represented in that whole shebang. But anyway, let's get to the ending.
Stay away from me! I'm sorry. I never meant to. It's too much.
Hi there, little one. Did you like your gift? What happened to his arm? Don't worry, we'll fix him up.
So anyway, guys, that was the ending to Among the Sleep. If you haven't played the game yourself, I highly recommend you do. But if you're here just to sort of see what the ending means, maybe you watched a Let's Play of it or something like that, I think you're at the right video. This is sort of going to be my explanation of the ending and pretty much the most common explanation for it. There are a couple of them, and I'm going to sort of mention a couple of the other theories also, but the one I'm going to be going most in depth with is the most common one, the one that I believe is true. But so anyway, before I actually start that though, I want to point out that the whole idea of this game and the ending is to make you question and sort of come to your own conclusion of what you think it's supposed to mean. So I am in no way trying to say that this is the one explanation, that this is the correct one or anything like that. This is just how I, and I think the majority of other people who've interpreted it, see the ending and sort of explain it. But so anyway, let's get started. So it's made pretty obvious once we start that ending sequence, because we see the mother drinking and, you know, she's got that empty bottle, that she's an alcoholic. And the parents are split up. They sort of split up towards the beginning of the game. And it's implied that from her alcoholism, which we don't know when that started, maybe it started when the parents split up, maybe it started beforehand and that's why they split up. That's not really important, but point is, you know, she's been an alcoholic for at least a good chunk of this baby's formative years. And so it's sort of implied that through this alcoholism, the mother has become a bit abusive to the child, especially when she's drunk. And so this implied abuse is basically what forms the creepy settings that we're going through throughout the game from the baby's perspective, because I'm not 100% sure this is true. If you know, if you're more knowledgeable on this subject, you could go ahead and leave a comment, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe I read somewhere that infants are less capable of differentiating between, you know, imagination, dreams, that kind of thing, and reality, as, you know, not a highly developed, but, you know, just a slightly older person, whether it's a kid, teenager, adult, whatever. But infants and, you know, very young toddlers can't differentiate between that, as well as, you know, people who are a few years older. And so these sort of creepy sequences, they can either be nightmares, and the ending is sort of the baby waking up, and, you know, towards the beginning the baby falls asleep, has this sort of sequence of dreams, or nightmares, I guess you should say. And then, towards the end is when they wake up. And it may also be, the baby is just playing with the teddy bear that they got from the father, because it is sort of shown that the father is the one who gives the baby this teddy bear. But so they're just playing with the teddy bear, and they sort of have this imagination, and that's what causes all these sequences. But regardless, it's some part of their imagination, because dreams, they are part of your imagination. It's just when you're sleeping. So that doesn't really make much difference. But so the baby is imagining all these sequences, which, as I mentioned earlier, are rooted in the mother's implied abuse through her alcohol and possibly, physical abuse to the baby, that kind of thing. And so, and I can sort of figure that out because, whenever there are these creepy sequences, you are hearing her voice in those things, and whenever she touches the baby, if you've played through the game or you've seen it, you'll remember that whenever she touches the baby, especially at that part at the end, the screen sort of gets, I don't know how to explain it, the screen, what's that word? It's on the tip of my tongue, but, the screen changes. There's a sort of scary aspect to it whenever she touches the baby, and she's very forceful and that kind of thing. So the mother is pretty obvious that she's the root cause of these things. And so at the end of the story, or at the end of the ending sequence, I guess you could say, there's a knock on the door after we see the mother drinking in the kitchen, and she sort of shoves the baby. And if you go towards it, there's a light coming through the door, as you guys saw if you watched the ending from this video. And you don't see anyone, you just see the light, but you hear a male voice, presumably the father, I would say. It could also be, someone from Child Protective Services, but some figure that is looking out for the kid. And if you listen closely, you'll see that voice is the same voice as the teddy bear. And so we're going to go with the idea that voice is the father's voice for this theory. And so whenever we're going through these creepier parts of the game, whenever the baby is scared, you grab the teddy bear, and the teddy bear is sort of like a light in the darkness, sort of a comfortable place when you're scared. And so throughout the story, he hugs a teddy bear representing his father. That implies that the father is, I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, but the father is like the baby's rock whenever there's trouble with the mother. And so basically at the end, the father comes and takes away the baby from the abusive mother's household. Supposedly he got custody of the child or something like that. And so he's just there, and whenever it's some reference to the mother, the game is very dark. It's always, creepy and dark, but the second we see the father, it's this blinding white light. And darkness is always associated with sadness and creepiness, and this bright white light is sort of more happy and safe. So I think that's also symbolic, which is something I haven't really seen before. It's a conclusion I came to more on my own, that, the mother is sort of darkness and the father is this bright light. Whenever he's there, he's piercing through the darkness. Now, that's sort of the basic explanation, just to summarize and get all the points together. The mother became an alcoholic after the parents split up, or before, whenever. Point is, she's an alcoholic. And her abuse forms this dark place in the baby's mind. And the whole time, the teddy bear that's with the baby, helping him through these dark places, represents the father. And in the end, finally comes and takes away the baby from the mother. And basically, he lives with the father, we can assume, from that point forward. And he's, more safe instead of being with an abusive mother. And that is basically the explanation for my theory, and the one that many other people are, supporting and using. But there are other theories, and I'm going to sort of briefly explain the second most common theory also, which I've seen, which is that in the beginning of the game, in one of the mother's sort of alcoholic fits, I guess you could say, the baby dies by her hand. You know, she's too forceful, whatever. Babies are fragile, you know, it's very easy to hurt a baby compared to a slightly older child. You know, you have to be very gentle with them. So at one point when the mother is extremely drunk, things take a wrong turn and she ends up killing the baby. And so this teddy bear, whether it's the father or whoever it's supposed to represent, is sort of leading the baby to the afterlife, and the baby in these dark places is sort of working out its unfinished business, or whatever you want to call it, and the teddy bear is just leading him to the happiness of his afterlife. And in the end, we see the mom apologizing so profusely because she kills the baby in one of her outbursts. And the very end is the baby sort of going into the light, as that expression goes, and finally reaching, you know, heaven with the teddy bear. And, you know, I guess you could say the teddy bear is sort of like the voice of God or whatever you believe in, but just leading the baby to the afterlife. And I think that those are both very, you know, good explanations. For me, I think the first explanation it's obviously less morbid and nicer to think about because it's more of a happy ending. I mean, they're both happy endings, but it's sort of nicer to think that the baby is somewhere safe instead of the baby having, you know, passed away. But anyway, I think that for a few different reasons, the first option is a lot more likely, just from a few hints in the game, but both are very good explanations. And yeah, that's basically my 2 cents on the game. I thought it was a really great game. At first, I was sort of worried that, you know, it's a pretty short game and it's moderately expensive, but I do not regret the purchase at all. It was a good experience for me. And yeah, that's the end of my video, guys. I hope that you found this educational, informative, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so I really appreciate you guys watching. Be sure, if you have a different take on it or you want to explain more deeply some part that you believe about it, please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this game, and we can talk about it if you want. If not, you know, just leave a comment and leave your input for others to see also when they come seeking an explanation to the ending. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you all next time.